sharing any upcoming events from our community partners or anything else that any of our community partners want to share.
I'll share. So we've got a training coming up. I think it's January 25th, and I can send information to Jillian to send out to the group with the ETSU Center of Excellence about basically, you guys are going to be hearing from me today again, I'm sorry, but about trafficking. But in that training, we're going to be going a little deeper into youth services, how we work with youth, and basically what services we're able to provide in our response to trafficking, since we are the main point of contact for CSIM kiddos in this part of the state. So I'll make sure you guys get the information to sign up for that training.
Okay, so my name is Sherry Barnett. I am your Regional Overdose Prevention Specialist. And to let you know that if you partner with us to get free Narcan through our grant, a 2-year research training is required. However, if you just want to learn about Narcan and actually get a kit, you can do that as well. If you're interested in those trainings or you are a partner, I certainly encourage you to get trained. You can privately message me on here or privately chat me with your email address. We do most of the trainings by Zoom, and it's about a 45-minute to an hour training, but you will get a kit, a certificate, and basically be good to go. And if you have an event coming up that I can participate in, I would love that. Just let me know. I'll put my contact information in the chat for you.
If you are just signing in, just make sure that you add your name and your email to the chat box. Right now, we are sharing any upcoming events from our community partners or anything like that. I will share a couple of things from CCDP. We have an upcoming Freedom from Smoking class, and I'm actually going to look. Okay. We also have an upcoming program that I'm really excited about called Celebrating Families. And it is a 16-week program. It's a whole family program for families who have one or both parents who struggle with substance use. And this program has, it's just really cool. You come together as a family, you share a family meal, you break into groups, you all learn the same lesson on an age-appropriate level, and then you come back together as a family, you do an activity, and it's just really great for teaching families who have had struggles with substance use, healthy living skills, coping skills, healthy communication, all of that. So if you know of anyone who would be a good fit for this program, just let us know. I'll add my email to the chat box. We're looking for maybe 7 to 8 more families. And we're going to be starting this towards the end of January, maybe into February. So we don't have an exact start date yet because we wanted to make sure that we had an adequate number of families who would participate.
Brooke, this is Jane Harper. If you have a flyer for that, I'll include it in the weekly resource.
Okay, I will send you that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so if we have no one else who needs to share anything, we will go start with our speaker. If you're just now joining us, please sign in through the chat box. I'm just pulling one thing up. Okay, so.
I'll share something if I may.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey, my name is Happy. Happy New Year to everybody. No pun intended. Ha ha. I'm with the CHI program, Community Health Insurance Program. And what we do is we help individuals get signed up for health coverage through healthcare.gov. And open enrollment is here now. It ends on January 15th. So pretty much anyone can get in right now. They don't have to have any kind of qualifying life event. So we have until the 15th. So if anybody needs help, that's what we do. We have a direct entry pathway, which makes it very quick. So people don't even have to have access to a computer to get signed up. All they have to do is call us, and we put in the zip code, check any meds that they might be taking, and get them signed up. And the whole application only takes about 10 minutes. And we work primarily with returning citizens or justice involved community, but we're here to help anyone who needs it. And the only caveat is if you're offered coverage through an employer, then you wouldn't qualify for the subsidy. But other than that, we're here to help. And maybe I'll submit a flyer to share for anyone who needs help. All they have to do is call us, and we're glad to help.
Okay, thank you, Happy. All right, so our first speaker is Elizabeth Hughes, and she is from Frontier Health, and she is spearheading the Kid Power event. And so go ahead and just jump right in, Elizabeth.
We are actually holding a Kid Power event in Carter County this year. The event is to kick off Mental Health Awareness Month. It's going to be held on April 30th. We've got 2 potential spots right now. It'll either be in downtown Elizabeth or the Sycamore Shoals State Park. We are partnering with many different nonprofit organizations in the area. We have Kids Like Us, East Tennessee Families, Carter County Library, Doe River Gorge, Mental Health Association is going to be joining us. I was looking to see if any of you guys would be interested in joining the events. We're asking that you set up a booth just to give out resources in reference to different resources in the area. It doesn't have to be directed at mental health awareness, but we would prefer something with mental health or something for the families.
I'm sorry, I just joined. What were the dates for that event?
April 30th. It's between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m.
Okay. Yeah, that's something I would be interested in doing.
I'll put my email address in the chat box. Jamie, do you have anything to add about the event? Or Stephen, either one?
We do have a PowerPoint that goes into a little more detail that we could provide through email if anybody's interested in more information. We are also partnering with TN Voices on this. It is also backed by the state. So we have a lot of backing on this event, and we've done it for several years. We've just recently decided to move it out of Washington County, where it's been centered most of the time, and just move it into other counties to get more exposure through the entire 8 counties in Northeast Tennessee.
I listed my phone numbers and email address if anyone is interested. If you have any questions about it, other than what was mentioned just now, you can call me or email me, either one. There's not a fee to sign up for the event. We are asking that you bring a door prize though, like for the families. We've got a couple of organizations that's donated to the event. We've got Snap On, Just Jump, and Jamie has a few that's just waiting for the flyer. We haven't got it approved yet. It should be approved here in a couple of weeks. So
And you said it's going to be at the Sycamore Shoals State Park?
that's where we're leaning to. Right now, we've got it approved to be at the Cover Bridge Park in Elizabethton, but we've actually got quite a few nonprofit organizations involved. So I want to make sure we have the space for them. So we're trying to get a road closure up there on East Elk Avenue, I believe it is. And if we can't do that, then we're probably just going to move it to the Sycamore Shoals State Park.
And what's the official title of the event, Elizabeth? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, it's Kid Power.
Kid Power. Okay.
We're also partnering with Ballad as well. They are pretty involved in the event. So I think we're going to have parking. If we do it over at the Sycamore Shoals Park, there'll be some parking. I think Sycamore Shoals is actually going to donate to us some of their parking lot over there, so we can all park over there and stuff. There should be plenty of space.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth and Jamie, for sharing about Kid Power. Our next speaker is Gabi Smith. Our January Outstanding Coalition partner is Community Coalition on Human Trafficking. The CCAHT trains and educates our community about human trafficking, fosters community collaboration through counter trafficking through their counter trafficking task force, and provides comprehensive trauma-informed aftercare services to survivors of human trafficking across East Tennessee. The CCAHT is the only counter-trafficking organization in East Tennessee that unites and equips their community to end human trafficking while providing survivors with comprehensive trauma-informed aftercare services, including case management, safe shelter, food and clothing, transportation, therapeutic services, community resources, and more. Based in Knoxville. Sorry, just had like a crash over here. A dollhouse fell over. That's my kids. It's life with kids right there. Random dollhouse just falling over. So, anyway, based in Knoxville, the CCAHT serves 33 counties of East Tennessee, serving as a single point of contact Tennessee Anti-Slavery Alliance partner for the East Tennessee region. So Gabi, if you will go ahead and take it away.
Hello. Am I able to share my screen? I think I am. Oh wait, no, I might not. I might need to be made co-host. Pretty please. So I can share my screen. All right, thank you. Pull up my PowerPoint. Okay. Oh, hold on, there's like 50 things pulled up right now. Let me try to get one screen to work. All right. Oops. Okay, so my name is Gabi Smith. I am a community liaison for the Community Coalition Against Human Trafficking, also known as Grove Free Tennessee. We are the point of contact in the East Tennessee region, all 33 counties, for survivors of trafficking, both youth and adult. And January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month. So I'm very happy to be here with you guys and be able to talk to you all a little bit about trafficking. A lot of you guys probably heard my spiel before, but you're gonna hear it again because it's really important to know. I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit about what trafficking is and what it looks like in our region. And then a little bit about our agency, and hopefully give you guys some good information on how to make a referral or get in contact with us if this is something you ever experience in the field that you work in. So what is human trafficking? Violation of human rights involves the use of force, fraud, or coercion to obtain some type of labor or commercial act. It's a major crime industry generating about 32 billion in revenues annually. So it is second right behind drug trafficking in the biggest illegal crime industry in the United States. People ask me all the time, how often does it happen? Does it happen here? And yeah, it does. It really does. And once I kind of talk a little bit about the realities of it, maybe it'll be a little bit easier to understand, but it's definitely something that it should be of concern in our country. Yeah. All right. So there are two types of trafficking that we deal with in our agency. There is sex trafficking, which is the use of force, fraud, or coercion to make someone engage in a commercial sex act. Basically, it's commercial profit oriented. So I always like to think of trafficking in terms of three entities. So there's the trafficker, there's the victim who is being exploited, and then there's got to be some kind of trade-off. I'll talk a little bit about familial intimate partner trafficking. That is the most common type of trafficking that we see in our region, but we also work with individuals who've been labor trafficked. It is a little less common, but it definitely does happen. Same thing, except they're being exploited for work. Maybe they're not getting paid, or they're getting paid very little. And this happens a lot in agriculture, in restaurants, service, anything. A lot of the times we see that the individuals who are in this scenario are undocumented, or don't really have anywhere else to go, unfortunately, and that vulnerability of theirs gets exploited for work. Yeah. Okay. So back to sex trafficking. So these are the two most common types of trafficking that we see. And it's really, really important to kind of separate your mind from what we see on the news and on Facebook and all these silly articles that come out about people trafficking kids in cabinets and stuff and selling them on Wayfair. Like, that is not at all, especially not what we're seeing here in East Tennessee. I'm not saying there's not crazy people out there who won't snatch you out of the Kroger parking lot, but in my experience, that's not usually the type of trafficking that we're dealing with here. So most of the time, we're going to be seeing something like familial trafficking, when a family member actually acts as the trafficker. And that's really common in the more rural communities. So Carter County being one of them, Greene County, Johnson County, those more rural counties, we see a lot of familial trafficking. And the reason why it kind of thrives in the rural parts of our state is because of the lack of resources. There's not a lot of jobs. They're more geographically isolated. It's often multi-generational. So, grandma traffics mom, mom traffics kiddo, and so on and so on. And that's just kind of the income that they've grown up knowing. They just think that that's what's next for them. It's normalized family behavior. We know that in these regions, there is a lot of substance misuse happening, unfortunately, with the opioid epidemic and all of that. So we see the familial trafficking that we see 9 times out of 10 is usually substance abuse related. And most commonly, fun fact, the most common trafficker in a familial trafficking situation is mom. So we see a lot of mothers who struggle with substance misuse using their children as a method of income to keep up the drug habit. Intimate partner trafficking, that one we see quite a bit as well. It's a little bit more common in the urban areas, but basically it's pretty self-explanatory. When the intimate partner, the spouse or the partner, acts as a trafficker, they usually kind of coincides with domestic violence, and that their trafficker isolates them from other people, makes them feel like they're the only person that their victim can trust. But yeah, we see that a lot in working with DB. So some sex trafficking indicators. Now, if you look at these indicators, you would probably think these are indicators for like a million different things. And that's why it's really important to be educated on the concepts of trafficking and knowing what to look for, so you know what to ask when you come in contact with these indicators or these red flags. So a big one, signs of drug and alcohol abuse. That's a good one for both adults and kids to kind of get to the bottom of whether or not they're experiencing trafficking. Usually how I go about it is, in talking about their substance abuse, say how do you provide your drugs? Do you have a job, or do you share these with anybody? I've had kiddos say, yeah, I get my drugs from my boyfriend. I sleep with his friends for it, and we get stuff for free and we just share it. So kind of, knowing the questions to ask, signs of physical and or sexual abuse, maybe if they're an adult client and they are being abused by the boyfriend. When you're asking the question of why did this happen, or what was his, intention, why was he mad at you? Maybe they say, oh, well, I didn't meet my quota, or, oh, I wasn't making enough money. So it's really important to, look at these red flags and know that when you're asking the questions, be looking for those signs of trafficking, for the presence of that trafficker and for a trade-off for what they're doing. Labor trafficking indicators, again, these can be indicators for a lot of stuff, but if there's something sketchy about their job situation, they're getting paid very little, or they're not getting paid. Maybe they were promised a job that it doesn't end up being what it is. Maybe somebody's keeping their documents. They don't have access to their documents, so they have to go to work for it. Workplace abuse and restrictions, all of those things. Trafficking is definitely a type of crime that doesn't sit on the surface. You really have to know the questions to ask to get to the bottom of. So back to Tennessee statistics, how often it happens here. These are kind of old statistics. The TBI takes their sweet time to get some new statistics out. In 2019, all 95 counties in Tennessee made a call to the National Human Trafficking Hotline. And if you know anything about Tennessee geography, we have 95 counties in Tennessee. So every single county in Tennessee made a call in 2019 to the National Human Trafficking Hotline. In 2020, we had 119 referrals. I know for a fact that by July of 2021, we had reached 180. So those numbers are going up exponentially, and it doesn't necessarily mean that trafficking is happening on a greater scale. It just means that you guys are more aware and you're more educated and you know what to do when you come in contact. So these individuals who are dropping between the cracks are now getting the help that they need. What makes somebody vulnerable? Lots of stuff. Lack of personal safety, isolation, emotional distress, homelessness is a really big one. Poverty or family dysfunction, especially in youth. Substance abuse, again, is a really big one. Mental illness. Basically, if somebody has a vulnerability of any kind, and most of us work with adults and youth who have vulnerabilities, then they fall in the risk category. I think it's, yeah. So the population's at the biggest risk. So we do work with youth and adult. I mainly work with youth. And I think almost every single one of my kids has some kind of DCS involvement. A lot of our kids who have confirmed trafficking, they were in some kind of foster care situation and they ran away. Or they were already being trafficked by family and that's why they're in foster care. But runaway kiddos are one of our biggest risk groups. But again, anything else can fall, any adult with a substance abuse issue, that's a really big group for our adult clients, homeless individuals, minorities, rural populations. I mean, there's anybody with a vulnerability can end up being exploited. Who are the traffickers? Big myth of traffickers target people they don't know. And like I've said before, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be somebody they know. It's either going to be a family member, maybe a friend or an acquaintance, a friend of a family, a boss, a worker. Yes, we do see the, traditional pimp and prostitute relationship when working with these individuals. That's going to happen more in the urban parts of our state where there is a lot more gang activity, but that's not very common out here in East Tennessee. I always say East because everybody else is in East and Knoxville. So I'm the only one here in the Tri-Cities area. But in this area, we see a lot more familial and intimate partner trafficking instead of the original pimps and gangs. Okay. So here's a victim profile for familial trafficking, just kind of put into perspective what I'm talking about. Sam is 9 years old and lives in an apartment with his mother. Every couple of weeks, his mom asks him to go spend the afternoon with the apartment manager, Rick. She tells Sam to be a good boy and do what Mr. Rick says. Sam knows he's being abused, but he has no idea that his mom is getting a cut in the rent. That cut in the rent, that commercial profit oriented, that is what makes this situation trafficking and not just child sex abuse. And think about this and like, how would this situation start? So maybe Sam goes to school and tells his teacher, hey, I'm being abused. And he explains to them that his mom makes him hang out with Mr. Rick, and Mr. Rick is abusing him and he doesn't understand why. And maybe he has no idea that mom is getting cut of the rent. But you as a professional, let's say you get the DCS call, you're the DCS worker for this, and you're investigating, what's happening. You're asking this kid what happened. Maybe you're talking to the parent and you're saying, why would you let your child do that if you knew that something was happening? The truth doesn't always come out, but eventually, hopefully it will. But that's why it's really important to be able to ask those questions. So Romeo route, the intimate partner trafficking. Julia met Scott at a party at her friend's house. He attends a local college and is able to buy beer for her and her high school friends. So he's grooming her. Quickly begin a romance, and Scott buys her nice gifts and takes her on fancy dates. Julia is in love. Scott suggests they run away together, but before they can leave, they need to make some quick cash. This is a really good example of how a trafficker takes their time. When I'm answering the question of, sorry, I have to turn my heater off, it's so hot in here. Are there people getting snatched, stuff like that. If you really take the time to think, a trafficker isn't going to steal someone off the street who has a family that would be looking for them, maybe has a job that's going to question when they don't show up. That victim isn't going to comply. They're not going to be like, oh yeah, take me away from all my family and then I'm going to do what you say. Whereas if they take the time to target someone with a vulnerability and groom them and build them to trust them and then exploit them, that's going to be a lot easier. And so this is a really good example of that. Julia maybe had some vulnerabilities. Maybe she didn't feel loved at home or had no support, not a lot of parental guidance. She meets this older boy who takes the time to get to know her and spoil her, and she's never experienced that before. And by the time the exploitation occurs, this kiddo already trusts that person. I won't go through this one, but another situation of a kiddo in foster placement who runs away. All right, so a little bit about our agency. We've got a couple different roles here. So Community Coalition Against Human Trafficking, this is always confusing for everybody, but that's our agency as a whole. And Grow Free Tennessee is our direct services program. So the coalition, we raise awareness, we do trainings. This is like the quick run through of what trafficking is and what we do. But we have some more in-depth trainings like the one I put in our chat. That one's more about working with youth and the stuff that we do with our youth clients. But those are all free trainings. You can sign up for them online or just email me to set them up. And we have trainings that are geared towards different professions, so they're a little bit more specific. We try to do some fun awareness events and share some things online. So if you follow us on Facebook or Instagram or anything like that, you'll see all that fun stuff. But within our direct services department, we work with youth and adults, like I said. With our youth, we do case management. We have different curriculums for kiddos. Some of them are preventative. We do take at-risk kids. And we kind of assess if they fall in that category or not, case by case. And for the kids that there has been a disclosure, we do full-on case management that can last till they're 18 and beyond. I mean, we're in it for the long haul. And then with our adult services, we have an emergency shelter that's located in in Knoxville. And we also have a transitional living house. It's called the Phoenix House in Knoxville for our adult clients who need a little bit more intensive care. And we also do case management for them. And I think that's about it. I think the most important thing really is that it takes all of us to be able to recognize, to be able to get these individuals to treatment. The work that we do only addresses the trafficking, but these individuals, you guys know, have way more than just that. They might have substance abuse issues. They might have mental health issues, things that are beyond what we can help with. So it really does take all of us as a group, and we try to provide that kind of collaborative space. And, we try to work as a team with our agencies here in our region, because we finally hired someone on who's taken youth cases with me here in the Tri-Cities, but I had been here by myself for a long time, and it's a big job for one person. So I appreciate all of you very much. But I think that is it. If anyone has any questions, I feel like I just fast talk through that, but stop sharing now. But I put the link in the chat for our more intense youth services training. If you work in youth services at all and you want to know about how we work with kiddos and the curriculums that we provide and all that good stuff, you can sign up for that. It's on the 25th at noon.
Gabi, would that training be appropriate for youth working as peer advocates, or is it more for adults?
It's more for service providers. Does that make sense? If they're able to make a referral out to us as a peer, then maybe. But basically, we're just going to be talking about mental health concerns and stuff with youth, and then what we do within our program and how to make that referral and stuff. So it's more for professionals who would be working with these kiddos. I don't know if they would fall under that. But.
Thank you, Gabi. This was wonderful. Any more questions for her before we move on? We've got a lot of thank yous in the chat, Ms. Gabi, so we appreciate you so very much.
Awesome. Absolutely. And I'll put my email in the chat, guys. If you all ever come across a situation where you're questioning it, I am always available to you guys. We can just talk about it. Sometimes, and I know from my experience in working in DV, there's a lot of clients that I can look back on and be like, I just had someone's second opinion. Maybe I could have figured that one out. So I'm always available to you guys to chat about it and see what we can do to help. I'll put my email in the chat.
Okay, thank you so much, Gabi. So thanks to Brooke for stepping in while I finished up a different presentation this morning. I hope that you survived the dollhouse crash over there. But I am glad to be back and be with y'all today. The next thing that we were going to do today is our 2020 leadership election. And so as most of y'all know, this organization started as a combination of Carter County's Health Council, Community Advisory Board, and Drug Prevention Coalition. And so we have continued to grow this and change and really try to make this as beneficial for our community as possible. And so it is in our bylaws that we will host this election every year to see who our leadership team will be. I say all of that about the beginnings of this organization because I just want everybody to be aware that all of these leaders are still representative of those three organizations. So if you were just a CAB member in the past, know that CAB leadership is still very active here, Health Council as well as, and Carter County Drug Prevention. So I'm going to share a ballot that Jane made for us. If y'all will take just a second and vote on this. I'll put it in the chat. My computer is being super slow. So Jane, if you happen to have the link quicker than I do, feel free to stick it in. While we are getting that, I also just wanted to make sure everyone knew that if you're here today, you are considered a voting member. Everybody that's part of this meeting at any time is considered to be part of our collaborative. So don't feel like you can't vote. If you're new here, everybody's welcome to vote.
Hey, Julian, I shared it. Can you see it?
Yes, thank you. All
You
right.
can see the ballot?
Yep.
Okay.
This is what the ballot looks like. And the link is in the chat now. So if y'all take just a few minutes and go ahead and vote on our leadership for 2022.
Hello, Jillian. This Caroline, are you there?
Jane, would you mind to share how you would like them to submit this?
Hey, this is Jane. I'm not sure. I just tried to go into the document and I can't make any edits.
Who's the owner of this? Like the file?
Is it you, Jillian?
It may not let us edit because Emily just had it open, but none of us can edit it on her end either.
Yeah, okay, so whoever is the main person for it, you should be able to go into settings and click let people like edit or access to edit. Usually they're automatically set to not let people edit.
Okay, I'm going to just put the questions in the chat and y'all can type your answers. If you are not comfortable sharing it with everyone, feel free to send it privately to Jane. All right, so this is question number 1.
Would it be helpful if someone else volunteered? Because I don't know if we know everyone that actually wants to be the chair or vice chair.
Excuse me. This is Yolanda Vesto. I don't know if I'm being heard or not.
We can hear you.
Okie doke. Why can't the ballot be sent out by mail and we can send it back? Or why can't it be sent in a survey form? In a survey form, you know, everybody gets to vote and you just mark a little whatever. But if it's sent in a ballot form, paper form, we can add names to it and we don't have to, I can't access anything to vote. All I'm seeing is everybody that's voting for whomever, but there's no way for me to do that. So my vote is not going to count. I've said my piece.
Everybody also received this in the email about this meeting. So you have the paper version. If you would like to submit it a different way, you're welcome to email that back to Jane and we can send it.
Excuse me, I don't have access to make paper form out of my phone. I don't have a regular computer. So this phone will not allow me to make a paper.
Could you just write down a paper, take a picture and send it an email? That might be something you could do.
Yeah. Okay, that I was told I could do. I'll get some help to do that. I thank you. I'm going away again.
Okay. Anybody else that wants to vote or doesn't want to vote in the chat or isn't able to vote in the chat, you're welcome again to send those to Jane privately. I'm going to move on to the second question. So for this one, you can pick up to 3 people. Right now, what we have been doing is having Emily do our agendas and minutes, Jane do all of our communications and membership list, and Shayna also helping with agendas and minutes. So feel free to vote for all 3 of those people if you are comfortable with that, or add write-ins if you would rather. Okay, friends, I'm gonna go ahead and put our subcommittee chairs in the chat box. Thanks for bearing with us, y'all. I know this is kind of a complicated process, but we'll have it together better for 2023, promise. So committee A, which is our substance use committee, the recommended nominee for that one is Brooke Jones. All right, committee B, currently the chair of this committee is Jillian Reese. She would love to give this committee to anyone else who would like to lead it. So feel free to write in all of your suggestions for a chair for committee B, or vote for Jillian Reese. The first option's a better option, just saying.
Who else is in your committee?
Shannon Payne. Who else is in committee B? Y'all raise your hand or wave it. Shannon Payne loves me so much. Okay, friends. Looks like everyone thinks Shannon is a good fit except Shannon, but that's fine. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put the chair suggestion for committee C, which is Emily Brooks. This is our data collection committee. Okay, friends, I think we have officially survived 2022 Carter County Collaborative leadership elections. Thank you to everybody that kind of stayed with us during that process. We will total all of these up and send results out. Please know that if you did not vote or were not able to vote or didn't feel comfortable voting here in the chat, that you are more than welcome to send these to Jane however you want to do it. If you want to write out an email, if you want to print the form, whatever you want to do, just shoot those over to Jane and she will get them all included in our tally. Anything else at this point?
May I make a suggestion?
Sure.
I think that, well, some of you us are new to these committees and everything. So we may be voting for people we don't even know that well, or what their role is or what they do. So maybe next year, my suggestion would be that everyone that is in the ballot can speak of what their role is and what they do, so we get to know what they do and maybe know who we're voting for. Just an idea.
Yes, I love that idea. Thank you so much. We'll definitely.
Also, if we don't want to take up meeting time, we could even just have them write a quick bio, just kind of telling us who they are and send that out a week prior. That way we can just read it over. That way we as voters can take that responsibility.
Absolutely. Thank you all for that feedback. We may actually go ahead and reach out to the people who are elected and have them kind of do that. Since we didn't have it together before the election, we can at least send that to you now so that you know who they are as they're serving throughout this next year. Yes, Emily, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to mention, as we were talking about this election, with this being our first year, we kind of talked to the leaders who are already in place and asked if they agreed to continue, just because this has been our first year and it's been all on Zoom. But we wanted everybody to fill out the membership form again. So we'll send that out when we send out the election results and everything. And we're going to have descriptions of all the committees in there, and that, like, everybody could feel free this year to start out and kind of pick which committee based on those descriptions you feel like you'd like to serve on this year. So that will be at least a better opportunity to learn more about the committees. We're kind of more organized this year than we were last year. And then for the next year, definitely more organized, like elections and descriptions on everyone. But I just wanted to mention that.
Yes, thank you, Emily. Again, we are very new at this. This is something that we had never tried to do before. So we are learning as we go and appreciate all of the input and feedback from you all so that we can make it the best experience it can possibly be for everybody. Okay, at this point, we're going to go into our breakout rooms. Committee A is Brooke Jones, and that one is our substance use and substance use trauma related things committee. Committee B is community action and awareness, is now really soon going to be led by Shannon Payne and Mr. Scott Stadola, I do believe. Pretty excited about that. And then committee C is our data committee led by Emily Brooks. So I'm going to go ahead and open the breakout rooms now, and y'all are welcome to join as you feel led. All right, I think we have everybody back. Thank you so much for sticking around for the breakout rooms. I'll ask somebody from each of the three rooms to share just a little bit about what they talked about or what they're working on or any needs from the full collaborative. So we'll start with committee A.
Okay, so today we spent a lot of time talking about the things that we're going to be planning for the next few months. So just to share a little bit about that, we're looking at Black History Month next month, and possibly providing like a mini resource fair just to be able to give Black individuals information about accessing mental health services, just because that's often something that they either don't have access to, they don't feel comfortable speaking to a white therapist, or a lot of different things. So we're going to focus on that. And we were planning, a few months ahead. So we're looking at just doing a lot of different things in the community. We made plans to create a document that we can share information on. I kind of updated our committee on something that we did last month for the recovery community. We did a recovery community virtual Christmas party where we had speakers, we had people who shared, a little bit of their recovery journey, what the holidays look like for them now. Scott Stadola, that's on here, he was one of our speakers. I really appreciate you doing that. Thank you very much. We did a little murder mystery. We had people share about their traditions. All of the participants got a gift bag where they were able to open just different presents that kind of related to those traditions. We had over 100 participants in this event, and it was really cool to be a part of. And then we had Pastor Scott Parker, who he's the person who runs 180 Construction, which is a program for individuals in recovery to teach them skills for, it gives them a job. It teaches them real life skills that they can apply. And anyway, he was there and he just talked about spirituality and recovery during Christmas and that kind of thing. It was really cool, and I'm glad that we got to do that. So I just wanted to update everyone on that. And if you, so I'm looking at this, I think. Okay. I think that's it for us. Sorry, I got a little distracted by the chat, but I think that's it for us.
If I may add something about the virtual Christmas party, I was at the DRC yesterday, and those guys and those girls, they loved being able to be a part of it. They said that they would rather have done it in person, but they said that just to be able to have something like that and have them included, it really made them feel welcomed and knowing that there were people that were thinking about them at Christmas.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. I'm glad that they liked it. Sometimes you just don't know how it's going to work out, especially on Zoom, but we wanted to make it accessible for everyone. And so, like Scott had said, we had DRC join us, we had Magnolia Ridge and Turning Point, and we had Willow Ridge, which are both inpatient treatment facilities. So yeah, thank you.
Thank y'all for all the work that you're doing. And
may I ask
sharing that with us.
something?
Go
This is
ahead.
funny. How would we, or myself, because I've got a small grant now, interact from a data standpoint and needs assessments and things like that with what you all are doing? Because I think it'd be extremely advisable for forward thinking on this entire group, but also those that do want to reach out and collaborate when we can't do that necessarily because we're not set up to be siloed. See, that's the problem. We're siloed instead of being able to reach across and do things together. I would enjoy getting to be not just a fly on the wall, but actually somewhat engaged with what you all are doing. It's just not been working. That's all I'll say.
On the data collection piece of that, Dr. DeLucia, I would love to have one of your students kind of come and sit with us one day and look at kind of what we're measuring right now and the way that we're measuring those things. If that's something you would be interested in us doing, just connect me, you know, a student or even a couple students just to come and kind of look at what our goals are and what our focus areas are and kind of the partnerships that we have to meet those goals and see if that helps in any way. That it actually leads beautifully into, I think, Committee B and what we talked about today too, which was the vast amount of resources that are out there and the ways that we can best connect. Sorry, my kids and their poppets, and it is bonkers around here. But talking about the resources and what's out there and making sure that what we have available is actually known to the people that need those things. I'll ask if anybody else in Committee 2 wants to, or Committee B wants to share anything else that we talked about before we move on. All right, Dr. DeLucia, I will send you a note. I'll send you an email with that info, and we'll move on to Committee C. Anybody want to update for Committee C?
For Committee C, we talked really also about what we're doing in the next year. We put together a mission and priorities document that we hope we could share with everyone in the collaborative, especially at the beginning of the year as we all fill out that membership form and choose the committees we're serving on this year. So we have that in our folder on the Dropbox in the Google Drive for Committee C. We also just talked about maybe having CCC apply to be a membership and for strong ACC, and discussing that in our next meeting. We meet outside of the regular meetings like here on Zoom. So we have our meetings, I believe the second Wednesday of every month. We're going to have a Committee C meeting at the Carter County Health Department at 1 p.m. on January 12th on Wednesday. So we'll be meeting again. And then we're just talking about moving forward with our assessment action plan and kind of using predetermined priority areas that we've worked on and groups that we've been a part of and just other groups like the Ballot and Strong ACC. So yeah, anyone interested in Committee C, you could reach out to me or please come to our meeting on January 12th. Is there anybody else from Committee C need to add anything?
Hey, this is Jane. I was just hoping to extend an invitation to anybody from Committee A to attend the meeting next week on Wednesday, because we'd love to learn specifically what's going on related to ACEs.
What time is that again? What time is the meeting?
1 o'clock. I don't trust my house self. I have to check everything with after COVID brain.
Yeah, it's 1 o'clock.
Yeah, 1 o'clock. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, anything else before we end today? All right, well, thanks everybody for being here. Watch for an email from us in the next little bit with results of the election, and we will see everybody the first Thursday of February. Thanks.
Oh, Jillian, this is Jane. Can you save the chat results for me so I can do the tally? Thank you.
I got it. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.